So, TikTok have just released a Google competitor. If you haven't heard, Seedance 1.0 has just been released by ByteDance, which is the company that own TikTok, and it's creating videos like that just from scratch, right? Just give it a prompt and away it goes and creates stuff like this. So incredible, right? On the leaderboards, it actually beats Google. Now, what leaderboards are these? It's called Video Generation Arena. So you may have heard of Chatbot Arena, which is basically you get, we'll click on it here, Video Arena. You'll get two videos, right, like this, and you have to decide which you think's better. So if you look at these two, I'd say this one looks better. And up here you'll see that that was Hello Bet Sora there, which is actually pretty interesting. From that leaderboard, you can see ByteDance with Seedance is actually number one. Now Veo, if you're not aware, Veo3 was just released a couple of weeks ago by Google. Basically is the best video generator on the market, and the cool thing is that it actually produces the sound with the video in sync, which is amazing. So I previously did make a video about that, but today we're going to show you how you can actually create Seedance videos on autopilot using n8n, which is an AI automation platform. And the reason that this is so cool is because for Veo, people are using it to get millions of views, as you can see here, right? For things like this Bigfoot vlog life, etc. But also now using Seedance, which is like 25 times cheaper, people are creating videos like this. Why? Because it doesn't automatically sync the audio. So it's better to do things that don't really need synced audio, right? Like ASMR. And as you can see here, people are getting millions of views, right? So how much is it, etc.? Let's just have a quick look. Veo3, right? If we look here, for a 5-second video with audio, $3.75, which is pretty pricey. But remember, this is all because it's automated. This isn't free stuff. This is like figuring out a way for you to not have to do the work. And your cost is probably really high compared to this. And then here, WaveSpeed AI is where we're going to be using ByteDance's Seedance. And in here you get 4 different options. So you get 480p options, which are cool, and then 720p ones, which are kind of more so what you'd be wanting if you're really going to try and leverage this for blowing up in social media. But even that is 30 cents a video, and a video can be like 5 seconds long. So as you can see, that's like 10 times more expensive, or whatever it is, 12. And for this one though, it does have audio, so you may be thinking, well, with WaveSpeed I don't get any audio. Yeah, but when I just run this, right, to do the whole thing cost me less than 3 cents for the audio and putting the video together. So the entire thing was like 93 cents, right? So a third of the price in total for using the 720p one. So still super cheap. Now, if you want the template, you don't want to faff around actually me showing you how to do this, you can go and head on over to AI Automation Hub, which is my free AI community. Inside here, we always have the templates and stuff. Go into Classroom, n8n templates, and boom, they'll all be in here. So for example, we have the Google Veo3 one. You can go like that and then click in here. Or you can go up to the top and search it as well. Now I do also have a paid community, which is AI Automation Pro. And inside here, when you join, I give you like an initial kind of consultation form where I get you to hit the ground running with AI. So I'll tell you exactly what to do. I'll even build a blueprint for you. Then if you need any help, we supply help. And we also have a bunch of courses. And then we have active people in the community who are always looking to level up. And you get the latest news and stuff as well. And you can even make money literally just by posting, commenting, and liking other people's stuff. So let's get into this tutorial. Now this is taken from RoboNuggets, who shared this first, right? So big shout out to him. But I thought that it was worth sharing for A, to talk about how good it is, talk about its shortcomings, but also to talk about how you could level this up, right? First things first, I'll talk about the general overarching architecture, then we'll go into the nodes one by one. So you get your idea. How do you get that? Well, schedules, every however long, every day, and then you get an ideas agent which creates the idea. This is then logged in a Google Sheet, and then from that Google Sheet, a prompt agent gets that and turns that into prompts. Because it's one thing having an idea, it's another thing getting these real prompts that you can then go to generate the clips. After that, you then generate the clips here using an HTTP request, so basically sending a message on the internet to WaveSpeed to say, listen, create these for me. It will then create them and you can download them here. Then you want to generate the sounds, and for this we're going to use Fal AI. So Fal AI and WaveSpeed, basically they're just providers of APIs for these large language models. So if we go, for example, to up here, Veo3, so this is Veo3 and Fal AI, and that's because you can't get Google Veo3 from Google. You have to get it through Fal AI. And WaveSpeed, again, you can't get ByteDance Seedance Pro from like ByteDance. You can't get it from Fal either, the Pro one. There was a kind of hiccup where you could if you use the URL, but that turns out it was a bug. They didn't mean to release it. So this is the first place to release it, which is why we're using them. And then for here, you just generate the sounds, and then after that, we then send it up to Fal here, which then packages the video together. So it gets the clips, gets the sounds, boom, mushes them together, stitches the video, and then boom, your output, you get a URL and your Google Sheet. So you have like a Google Sheet like this, and there's your URL. And when you click on it, it will download the video, and then you get a video, something like this. Which is completely AI generated. Let's go node by node so you can actually build this out. So schedule trigger, we have here, days between trigger 1, midnight and 0. Basically run it every day, midnight, bam, bang on there. But you can also come here, click execute step, and it will run it as well. Now the ideas agent here, we have a prompt and we have a system prompt. So the system prompt or system message is what you tell the agent. And here you're giving the agent a role, you're giving it some rules, so do this, don't do that, don't do that. And then you also give it an output format. Because agents, sure they're really good, but you need to give them really solid instructions to try and reduce the amount of, or the lack of determinism. Try to introduce determinism a little bit more. Because essentially they'll just like, they will do anything they want. You want to try and narrow those guardrails. That's why I use a system message. And then you have the prompt here. And the prompt we have here is give me an idea about, and then you insert something here. So you can come in and change this. We also give it the tool, so use the think tool to review your output, which is this here, which is a like think tool to essentially turn your model into a reasoning model. And the reason that's cool is because reasoning models are super expensive, and 4.1 is notoriously like the best, cheapest, or 4.1 mini, I suppose is the cheapest, but it's like the best bang for your buck. And reasoning models are really expensive, so you can use think to turn it essentially into a reasoning model. And then we have the parser here, so this is the output parser, and you'll see here we have an example. So generate from JSON example the schema. A schema basically is just like, what's the framework of how I want my data to look? And you want it to look like this. So caption, blah, 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 idea, blah, 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 environment, blah, 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 sound, and then status, right? And this here you'll notice we have in the output parser, so attached here, but we also have it inside of the system message. Oops, the agent system message here. We have an example of what we want it to look like. And that's because you kind of want to like solidly verify it. In the system message, you're like, listen, this is what I always want you to output. And the output parser is like double checking that that is the output. Because if you didn't have the parser, it could output whatever it wanted, even if it's by accident. Now after that, it then logs it into this Google Sheet. So first, I suppose, before we go there, if you do need to set up the credentials here, you just click the pen or pencil. And then from here, you get an API key. And to get that, you just go to platform.openai.com/API keys, sign up, add your billing details, create a new secret key. But if you're worried about spending too much money, instead what you can do as well is if you go to aistudio.google.com, you can then come here, and although it looks a bit crazy right now, it's actually pretty straightforward, don't worry. Go to Get API Key. From Get API Key, you then want to click Create, and then you want to select a project, then click Create, and then you can copy this API key. If you don't have a project, you can go to console.cloud.google.com, and here you can create a Gemini, or a project for your Gemini API key. So here you can click New Project, create one of those, and then you can use that project to create your API key. Now you'll notice that this is actually Google Gemini, but the reason we do Google Gemini instead of ChatGPT, if you're worried about money, is it because for here, for example, with this Flash Preview, or even Flash Preview Lite, whatever, you can see that for free we have 500 a day, which is cool. So you can run 500 prompts per day. And you can just change this instead of OpenAI here like this. You could click plus and change this to Gemini. So you can see over here, I have Gemini. You click on that one and do it that way. So that's how you can do it for less money. But do be aware for agents, because agents can run multiple times. So like here I've got it to think. So basically this agent will then It will run, it will create its thing, which could be one prompt, then it could think, which could be two prompts, then it could have another response, which could be three prompts. So instead of one, this is actually 3 out of your 500. Then it logs the idea. Now here I'm using the n8n cloud, as you can see here, instead of like a self-hosted version. And because of that, connecting to your Google account is super easy. Again, press the pen and then you just click sign in with Google, which is really straightforward. Resource, so it's a sheet within a document, and I've just created this simple sheet here, which again, this will be inside of the school community, and you just have these headers, right? Just the standard headers. So from that here we have document, from list, and then I've selected this Seedance, which is the name of this sheet, or the name of the sheet, what do they call it? Document. And then the actual sheet name is sheet 1, which refers to this down here. Then if we come back here, map each column manually. So we're mapping each of these columns so from the ideas agent. So the output you can see here has been parsed correctly. And then we pull these over. So caption here, you'd drag that, put it in there, and then that would pop up, right? And it'd come up like this. And that's because you have these color braces to denote that it's dynamic under this expression. And then we have it's a JSON. So if we go to JSON, because that's actually how it looks, JSON dot output 0. So that's, if we go back to the schema, you can see that this is output 0. So it's the first one, or it's the only one, but it's the first one. Dot caption, which is the name of that. And then you fill all of them out except final output. Cool. So we then have that logged. We now have another agent which gets this and creates video prompts. That way we can have the 3 videos so that we can chain them together. 1 video, 2 video, 3. So to do this, again, we have a system message. Let's open that out. And again, you're giving it a role, you're giving it rules, etc. Descriptions should look like this. Here's a tone for how I want it. Here's the length. And here's the inputs. So the idea, the environment, the sound. And then format. This is how you want it to look. So from here, we have the prompt. And it's literally just, give me 3 prompts based on the previous idea. And use the thinking tool as well. Because again, it has this thinking tool. And then the parser this time looks like this. Idea, environment, sound, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3. For reference as well here, you can just remove this. Instead match it to here and use just 1. Same with your AI, you can just use 1 like that. But I like to just keep them, so if we move it like this, they're sharing the tool and they're sharing this credential. But I like to keep them all separate because I think it just feels cleaner that way, like it's better. So we have this prompt agent, and now we have this input and output. I haven't actually spoken about that. And for any beginners who are watching, essentially here you have the sentence in the middle, input on the left, output on the right. So again here, what we can see is, that's fine over there, input, log the idea, then we have this as the settings, so it goes through the agent, and this is the output, idea, environment, sound, scene 1, scene 2, scene 3, just like we were expecting, which is perfect. Cool, so now into the main meat and potatoes of this. So we have now OpenAI in this instance has created the idea, generated the idea, logged it in a Google Sheets, pulled it back down, and then generated prompts for videos from that. Cool. So what do we do now? Well, we have here a little bit of code which simply then just gets out the, let me open this as a JSON, you can see it here, basically gets the 3 scenes out of here. So we have here description, then description, then description, which is these 3 scenes. It's just so that we have them all together. Now we then want to create the clips. So from here, we're using an HTTP request node. That's what this little globe thing is. And this is to create the clip. So we're going to use the WaveSpeed API. So let's head on over to WaveSpeed and I'll show you how you can get your credential and stuff for this. So also first you'll notice API WaveSpeed AI, ByteDance, Seedance, V1 Pro, 480p. Now this chunk here, you can change it, because as I was saying here, you can change it to whichever one it is that you actually want to use. But basically here you sign up, you get a free $1, so you can actually run this entire thing for like 3 cents, because the first run you could get 3 videos for 90 cents at 720p. So anyway, come here, sign up, and then you just go to access keys, And then from here, you just give it a name and then create key. And literally, you just copy that key, come over here, header auth, click on the pen. Then we have authorization as the name. And the value here, it won't show you, but come here to the WaveSpeed authentication docs. You see to get the API key, etc. An example usage, so curl, which is what we would use, because curl is essentially like an HTTP request. Post, and you see it's authorization : bearer your API key. So inside here, you would delete all that, and instead under here, you would have it as bearer, and then you'd paste in your API key. So whatever like this, and then you'd have that inside here, and then save, and that's your API key set up, which is essentially your unique identifier, so that WaveSpeed knows it's you, because everyone has their own one. So if you share it with someone, they could use it, and they could use up your free credits, and then even if you've added your billing information, they could then use it and basically use your money. So watch doing that. Then under here, we're sending the raw JSON as the body here. So basically we're sending the header, so we're sending a post request, so we're pushing something up to this URL. We're giving it our authentication to say, listen, it's us. And then this is what we want it to do. So if we open this up here, you can see that we're giving it the aspect ratio, so you could change that. But this is a short form content, the duration, and then the prompt here. So we have the video theme, what happens, and where the video is shot. So that's all you have to send it up. And then it'll go away and it'll actually start to create it. So we then have a wait. I've just put it to 2 seconds because we were testing it just one node at a time. But it really should be like 60 seconds, maybe longer. So even a couple of minutes. Then after that, once you've waited for it to actually do its thing, so up to 3 minutes, say. After that, we then get a get method for this HTTP request, which means we're now getting information. So the first time we're posting saying, go do this. Now we're getting what it's actually created. So we go to the API, blah, 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 /, and they call it predictions is normally what they call it when they generate something. So we then have JSON.data.id, and this here, we come from, if we go to, this one here, so data, ID, and you're passing that in because that's the ID for this prediction, this generation. We pass in our header, and that's it, and it will then pull down this here. And as you can see from the outputs, there we go, that's the prediction. So this is the video output there. So we now have that video. Now let's generate the sound for the video. So what we're going to do here is we're going to use Fal. Now Fal, super easy to set up as well. You just go in, log in, right, add your billing information. And for me, I think I added, it might have been $10, but you can add like, not much at all. It must have been $20 I've added. But yeah, I'm sure you can add like $5 at a time, and it doesn't really use much. As I was showing you, if I go to usage, that had done 23 seconds of video, and that's cost me $17.25. But then the actual audio, so generating the sounds, was 3 cents, and actually putting the audio together with the video from Seedance only cost me, what is that? What's 1 cent? So that's 2% of a cent. So literally, it's free, pretty much. So yeah, 3 cents. So add $1 if it'll let you. Add 3 cents if it'll let you. And it'll work, maybe 4. But anyway, sign up, and then to get your API key, just go to API keys here, and then add a key, give it a name, boom, you're sorted. So you copy that API key, and you come here to, again, header auth file, pen, and to change that, you just change it up here for reference. Authorization, but this time you don't use bearer. Instead, so if we go to any model, so like Veo3, go to API, you can go down here to authentication, and now you can see the authentication, you can see submit request, curl, authorization, key, file key, so it's not bearer this time, but it's key, and that's how you then just put this one in, key, space, and then paste in your API key, and that's you. Let's close that. And we're posting again, so we're saying go and create this, and this time it's to the queue for file, so file.run, and it's this audio v2, so just generating some audio for us. And again, we're passing in a body, and this time the prompt is ASMR soothing sound effects, followed by then prompt AI agent JSON.output.sound. So if I come over here, so this is like the mapping again, we'll go to prompts AI agent. this one here. We'll go to item, which will just be this, the first one. .json, this is the JSON. .output, this is the output here. .sound is this one here. And then the video URL, we're going to then pass in the JSON data output 0, which if we go here, so this is the previous one, so that's why it's JSON.data, so here. Because if it was not the previous one, if it was another node a few nodes back, then that's why you reference it by name here. But anyway, so you can see JSON.data, so the previous node, .output 0, which is this one, so data, output 0, which is this here. So we then push that up, and that will create our sounds. So then once we've done that, again we have to wait, so this time wait a minute or so, just for it to create it. And then we just get it, same kind of thing. Here we have this queue file run, blah blah blah, requests, and then we get the request ID, so just the same as last time really. Now we pass our header authentication for file, and that's it. Boom. We now have the sound and we have the video. Now we need to put it together here. So in this instance, right, I've seen people talking about why you shouldn't do this. Instead, there should be an easier way to put the clips together. And there is a programmatic way you could do it if you're self-hosting this, where you could run code underneath by using the execute code command to actually, instead of having to do an HTTP request, you could basically put the files together, right? And I've done that before for a project I'd previously done in Python where it was generating shots from videos, right? But the problem with that is we can't do that in the cloud like this, and it is actually resource intensive, so it uses up your resources. So we're as well outsourcing this, because you've seen how cheap it was. It's like a fraction, well, I don't even need to find it, but you know, you've seen it before, fraction of a cent, 2% of a cent, or something like that. So we're going to stitch the video together. So the first thing we want to do is list out the elements. So what are we going to be adding together? So we have the video URLs that we're going to be adding together. And then for the sequence video, again, we're just going to use the same authentication, because for file it's still us. We're just hitting a different URL this time for the post. We're hitting ffmpeg API compose. Now ffmpeg is something you may come across whenever you're changing video settings or putting videos bits together like this. This is a programmatic way to do it, is by using this ffmpeg. So we have the auth, that's the same as normal, and then this time inside the body, if we pop it open, we have the type of video, the ID, and basically just different keyframes. So we have the first URL for the video, second one, and the third one for the 3 different videos that we've got. And then from there, we just wait for that to finish, again just a minute, and then get the final video just to get to that ffmpeg API request / request ID, which comes from here again, passing in our authentication, and then afterwards we push that up into Google Sheets. Now for here what we're doing is connecting to Google Sheets. All this stuff's the same, Seedance sheet, but this time the operation is updating a single row. So it has to first find which row am I going to update. So you map each column manually, and we're matching ID. So matching ID to the ID that we actually had given it here. So this ID. And then we're changing the final output, which is json.video URL. And then it gives you that URL. And then if we now go to here, we can then click on the final output. And then it will just automatically download it, like so. Now when you open it up, here's another screen, but I'll bring it over. It's basically the same one. And that's the video. Boom. And so it is that simple and straightforward to set up these types of workflows. So the enhancements I was talking about before, I'll briefly go over them again, is a voiceover node. So I think, like, for example, that video would probably be better if there was like a little story time thing. So like someone just telling you fun facts or stories. And you could do that here with the voiceover node, where instead of generating the sound, so if we come in here, we have the generate the sound, so this is the prompt, right? Instead of that being the prompt, you could change the prompting agent and the ideas agent, and then ultimately this here, to go from get clips into generating this audio. And then you could use this instead of the 3 of these to generate like the story voiceover and add them in, which could be cool. Another one too is this human in the loop validation, where you could add this in basically, I think, probably after the ideas have been generated, to make sure that that works. and then also after the prompts have been generated, then possibly even after the clips have been generated. So there's a bunch of places to do it, but essentially it's just where do you want to make sure that it looks good. If you're willing to, waste $1 to run through the whole thing because you think it's going to be fine, then you can probably put it, at the end just before, you try and upload it or something. Or you could, cut this off here. So this could be 2 different ones. So you could have like this to create the ideas. And then only when you then like the ideas in here, you could then trigger this one. Something like that could be cool too. So a bunch of different ideas. But essentially the next stage in here is actually to upload this video. So currently on n8n, I'm building here this ultimate social media poster, which basically gets a single video URL, like the one at the end of the last one. Love you, bye! And it will then get the video, and then it will go and post it across all of these platforms, right? So it's TikTok, Instagram, all these 2 here. And then we have YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Facebook. So currently working on this to make sure that it all works perfect, right? Because I don't want to put it out there if it doesn't really work. But if you want this before anyone else, come and join the AI Automation Pro, because this is where I'll first release it so that people can actually have a try with it and see how it goes. And then if you just want the template for this video, come along to AI Automation Hub and talk to people here. This is also, a big community. We've got over 700 members so far, which is cool because I've only had it a few weeks, or a month. But yeah, super cool. So I hope you enjoyed. If you did, like, comment, subscribe, and I look forward to seeing you in AI Automation Pro. Take care.